Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Flair Lifestyle. I'm your host Remy Kennedy, and on today's episode I have a very special guest. It is
Colby Ashton, Las Vegas.
It's Colby Ashton, all the way from Las Vegas.
It's a really hot place.
So if you haven't heard of this name, man, face, person before, you should look him up. Colby Ashton is a rising star in the Flair world from the other side of the pond, I will say. Not to make his head go any bigger or anything like that, but he's won, how many competitions have you won?
It's hard to say the number, it's up there. But I also beat Rodrigo Del Pesh one time.
And that's now on the internet, so he knows.
Just to rub it in, buddy. I'll see you when I get home when we work together next shift.
Colby flew over to the UK to compete in, you did quite a bit of the Italian tour, you did Roadhouses.
Yeah, I did the one in Gaeta, the Passion Flair. Had a good time there. A lot of fun. It was surprising for being an outdoor competition with how well everything was as far as like conditions being right beside like the water, you know, moisture, humidity, and rain, wind, stuff like that. It was a very smooth day for being outdoor.
Nice.
And then came out here for Roadhouse last night. Actually, is what it was.
Did you have fun?
Had a blast. Yeah.
Did you win?
I was thinking about it, and I decided I'd rather get intoxicated, or I prefer to call it unsober. That's my personal little thing I like to do when I'm not behind the bar or on stage. So no, I didn't win. I decided to let Oliver and Mateo and those guys do good. I was just, I don't know, today's their day to shine. No, I didn't do anything good at all. I had kind of a bad round. I had fun though, so it was good. But yeah, so.
He made really awkward eye contact with me during this round.
I did.
I loved it.
Because it was weird. Like I didn't see any girls nearby in the front. It's like story of my life. And then I see Robbie and I'm like, oh, hi.
Alright, I'm gonna do this.
You're guilty by association now, man.
Let's talk a little quick thing about where you actually work. You work in a few bars, right, in Vegas?
Yes. I work at, one's a Flair bar and one is a high volume pool party. So the Flair bar, it's called Fuel Bar. And it's quite a small venue, but that kind of makes it, it's a small venue with a big party, put it that way. As tiny as it is, everybody that comes in is kind of part of what's going on. So for example, if it's you and I at the bar and there's a customer behind the camera over in this corner, even though we're joking around here, they're still part of it as well. So it's one big atmospheric party just going on with everybody involved, which is awesome. Yeah, so that's Fuel Bar. We've also done a lot of like TV shows as well for Fuel. We've been on like NBC, one of the programs back home in the States. We've been on the Food Network channel back in the States for 2 different programs. One of them with what's her name? Hillary Duff, her sister Haley. She has a show called Haley's America where she tours around America finding like cool spots here and there. And luckily enough, she picked Fuel Bar for her spot in Vegas.
Nice.
Out of everywhere else to go in Vegas, she went to Fuel Bar,
awesome.
so we're doing something right.
Cool. Okay, well, I'm sure everyone sitting at home is thinking the same thing, that they're all thinking the same thing together. I have a man who lives in Vegas.
Yes, I am single and I love women with daddy issues. Oh, not that. Oh, sorry.
The myths about the money you earn in Vegas. Do you drive a Ferrari? Do you own like 10 houses? Is all this stuff true?
No, not at all. I'd say the only Ferrari I've ever driven in my life was like a little like Matchbox Hot Wheels thing when I was a kid, a little baby. But no, it's like some of the guys I would say that are a little more old school in Vegas that have been there for a very long time, back when Vegas was in its prime. Now those guys, I know some of them do have multiple houses. 10, no. 2, 3, 3 is probably pushing it. I know a lot of the guys do own one house and then they have another house that they rent out and make their money like off of that to pay for their mortgage on the first house.
More income streams.
Exactly. So it's spreading out your cards across the table to have everything come back in for one deal.
Sure.
And as far as the Ferraris go, as far as what I've seen, a lot of the guys prefer to drive Porsches. Something like that. But I mean, like, granted, they've all worked really hard for where they're at, and they are very intelligent with their earnings. Like, they're not just blowing it on, you know, on booze and drugs and making it rain on strippers named Cinnamon. Like, you know, like
classic stripper name.
Yeah, 100%. Like they're very good with investing and saving their money and putting it in the right places so they can further help themselves
Who
later.
knew?
But yeah.
Okay. So it's not just like you make so much money in one night's tips that you can go out and buy all this crazy stuff. These guys are smart up here. That save
Exactly,
up,
yeah. And it's like, that's with anything too. Like as long as you're smart with what you're doing, your finances, and you're looking for your best option to save money in certain areas too, then you're gonna naturally accumulate it faster and longevity.
Well, that being said, we're still curious about kind of money that you make. So let's go, for example, which bar would you say you earn the more tips at? The Flair bar or the pumping up speed service bar?
To be honest, they're pretty close.
Wow.
I would say they're both back and forth. Because with the Flair bar, it's a different style of atmosphere, so to speak, for the customer. So customer comes into Fuel Bar, it's all a show, we're entertaining, it's about interaction with the customer, which is your crowd, essentially. So it's like being on a stage with competition. You make that eye contact or whatever, you pull in that customer, guy or girl, you know, attractive or not, which is my life. but yeah, no, you just gotta pull them in, make them laugh, make them have a good time. Like you're, at the beginning of the day, you're an employee. At the end of the day, no matter what, you're still a bartender. But in between, aside from just an employee or a bartender, you're everything else. You're an entertainer, you're a psychologist when somebody comes to you with their problems. You're a babysitter when somebody's spilling their drinks everywhere, all over the bar, or they're throwing up. Or there's a girl crying because her boyfriend was texting her sister. You never know what you're gonna deal with, you know. But so with that being in like a Flair bar, you make a lot of money that way because people appreciate what you're doing and the show that you're giving them. And we're a lot cheaper than a Cirque du Soleil show. And then when you get to the pool, which the pool party I work at, which I forgot to say earlier, it's Rehab Beach Club. It's the biggest pool party in the nation. It's at the Hard Rock Hotel. It's like 6.5 acres, if you guys know acres. It's huge, or massive, if you guys would say.
Massive.
And but yeah, like there, I would say I do about the same with money as well, because it's just turn and burn. It's extremely busy. Just to give you an example, roughly we'll run about 18 bartenders, which sounds like a lot. However, our max capacity at the pool is 7,477. So, eye contact. With that being said, it's naturally, if you do the math, you're just getting your butt kicked all day. The whole bar is just busy. And obviously I don't do any flair at that bar. It's purely just volume, turn and burn, get customers in, out.
Wow.
And so with that, you won't get as much as the big tips, but you're getting a lot of the
tips
quantity. Yeah. So that's why you're trying to hustle more and more and more and more and more, which we said earlier about hustling. It's just
hustle.
That's how you pull your money.
Absolutely. Oh, we do it again?
Okay.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1.
Hustle.
I'm gonna ask, as long as you're okay to talk about money in front of everyone on the internet, what's the most money you've ever made in one tip? And what's the biggest tip you've ever received?
Most money I think I ever made in one shift would have been probably right around, I think it was like 16 to 1800 somewhere. Now granted, that was really busy day, naturally. It wasn't just like it was 2 customers. It was like, hi, hi, you look like you can throw this money more than I am. Like, no, it was like, you actually we were working for it. I had drinks thrown at me that night, I think too. But that was when I was working back in Philadelphia before I was out in Vegas.
Wow.
The one bar that I worked at back in Philly, it was right in the center of all the pro sports venues.
Okay.
So everybody would go there pre-game, before the games, and then inside the bar there was a TV that was 37 feet across.
Wow.
So meters, I'm not sure what that is.
It's a big, it's a lot. It's a big TV.
And
like a whole wall.
yeah, literally, it's like this. Well, I think they said it's the biggest one that's indoors in North America when it was built. It cost like $1 million, paid for by Miller Lite, apparently. But yeah, so I think it was there because then everybody, like I said, pre-game, during the game, they can be there watching the game on the TV because they're not at the game watching live. And then after the games, they come over. So if there's multiple sports, which there was that day, I think there was all 3 sports teams were playing, or 3 out of the 4 were playing. So then we had games, plus it was during Mardi Gras, which is a big drinking holiday as well.
Yep.
So with all those, like old school kids, with all those powers combined, it was a good shift day. The other part of the question, the most I ever made from my biggest tip, rather, was the question.
Yeah.
Biggest tip I've ever made. I had, it was $2,700 cash, just boom.
I'm just gonna go now.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But yeah, the way that one worked out, I guess, like the guy, he was playing gaming on the bar, and he only had like 3 or 4 drinks, not too many. So at most, I was expecting like, oh, maybe we'll throw like a 5, you know, for a tip or something. And he ended up not tipping at all, every drink. And then at the very end, when he hit and he got paid out from the attendant that comes around, they get like the big cash payouts like that. And then, because it's not like maybe in the movies where when you win, it's just money spitting out. That's back in the day, and that was just coins, which that'd be a lot of coins. But so essentially, he got his payout, and then you know, even though I was taking care of the entire bar, he was very appreciative that I was giving him the same attention and care and everything else as a customer as I did everybody else that was tipping, even though he wasn't. And he basically just kind of said to me, he was just kind of touching base that he was like, yeah, man, he's like, just doing this for fun. He's like, I'm pretty well off money-wise. I don't even really need this. And I'm the whole time in my head, I'm like, oh, I hate you right now. And then, but then he was like, yeah, no, he was like, I just want to thank you, man. It was really cool. I used to bartend back in the day, and it's really nice to see somebody be so attentive to everybody at the bar, not just the tippers. Yeah. Which is kind of a nice mindset to think about, because you never know who you have at your bar. It could be a celebrity or something. You never know. You know where I can get any Coke? You like a line of Coke? I'll take the soda gun, just spray Coke. There you go, man. $4. Did you want ice too?
To me, a pool bar is like a swimming pool and the bar that sits at the end of it. You have a pool bar that has a 7,000 person capacity.
Yeah, actually 7,477.
I imagine most people who've never probably been to Vegas see that strip that they see on TV and think that's it. But what's it actually like living in the desert?
Oh, it's just a strip. It's boring. No, I'm kidding. It's there's a lot more to do aside from just the strip. It's like in itself, it's a whole thriving city outside of that little tourist district or tourist area. I believe we're roughly around 1.5 million people, including like the suburbs all around. And it's like, yeah, like unbeknownst, like we have a semi-professional baseball team. We actually just officially signed our professional NHL hockey team. And we have NFL football, oh yeah, I can't say football over here. The American football team starting up as well. It'll be coming over from another city. So in the desert, we're gonna have all that stuff. But yeah,
the desert's growing.
Yeah.
The desert is growing.
And we have ice hockey rinks, about 4 of them.
Which leads me on to my other question, which I was gonna ask you, but you've just opened up anyway. You work full time, actually you work in 2 bars.
Yep.
You obviously train, you practice Flair. Do you get much free time? And if you do, what the hell do you do with it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of drinking. But no, aside from all that.
Well, drinking and Coca-Cola?
Yeah, Coca-Cola on the bar top. There you go, sir. It's, you know, when I'm not behind the bar hustling, I'm a big ice hockey fan. I've been playing ice hockey now for, scary enough, almost 30 years. So I'm older than a lot of you people probably watching. Luckily, I'm taller than the camera and they can't see where it's going thin in the back.
Yeah, that's
no. The best part too about Vegas, like my personal favorite thing is there's always something going on and there's always something open, 24 hours.
I'm moving to Vegas. Mm-hmm. Babe, pack your things, we're going to Vegas.
And there's always like concerts too and everything. So like there's always bands coming in town, like big name bands, because it's Vegas. So they're all gonna go to Vegas and they're gonna put a good show on and whatnot. So it's awesome, man. It's a really good time. Like it's definitely a very surreal experience when you're first going there. And then after you live there for a little bit, it's still exciting. It does kind of lose a little bit of the luster after you've been there for a while. But it also makes you appreciate more what you have being there. Okay. As far as you're more responsible with, like earlier what I was saying about like your expenses and what you're spending, you're very more conscious of what you're doing. So it's very good. It makes you more, well, it can also tear you apart too. Some people I know have problems with drinking or gambling or drugs or, you know, I just have a problem finding a girlfriend. That's my biggest thing. And I have money. That's the worst part, really, you know? The
late and great Tom Dyer.
What, late and great? He didn't pass away.
One more.
Apparently you passed away, Tom. Rest in peace, buddy, even though we just saw you 5 minutes ago. Fine, forget Timmy. He sucks anyway.
Sorry, Timmy.
I'm not. Your parents probably hate you.
Alright, let's do that. Alright, so this... Hustle. Alright guys, so that wraps us up for today's episode of Flair Lifestyle. I hope we answered some questions for you. I hope you have a newfound love and appreciation for Vegas, gambling, alcohol addiction. Right guys, that brings You do the sign off.
It's a lot it takes.
You do the sign off.
Hey guys, that brings us to the end of the fucking show.
Alright guys, that wraps us up for today's episode. I hope we've answered some questions. I hope you have a new understanding of Vegas and what actually goes on there. Coca-Cola. As always, any information you need will be in the description box below, so please check them out. I'll leave some links to Colby and all his social media down there as well, so go follow him. He's a cool cat. He talks with a funny accent.
Right.
Thank you very much for chatting with us, Colby. We will see you guys next time. 3, 2, 1.